everybody, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Laura, I'm 31, and I live in a small town in northwestern Ontario, and almost 4 weeks ago, like 26 days ago, I had hip surgery on my left hip to repair a torn labrum, and I guess the whole point of this is to get into it. So I have what is called femoral acetabular impingement. So that's where your femur sits into your pelvis, and that had resulted in a labral tear, and then, as we discovered in the surgery, some softening of the cartilage. So the point of this video is to get into everything that's been useful, some of the things that have been, I watched so many videos about this surgery before, and none of the people that I found lived alone. So I think that was a big question for me going into it. And I do think it is definitely a little bit harder when you live alone. So I'm gonna start with the things that I bought and the things that I didn't buy, whether or not I regret not buying anything or whether or not I regret buying anything. Short form, I don't regret buying any of the things that I bought. I'm gonna start with the ice packs. So I bought two. I'll link everything down below. They both kind of strap on. One strap goes around your waist, one strap goes around your thigh. And you keep them in the freezer in these bags so they don't get any of that freezer smell. And I liked this one the most pre-op. I liked the way it sat on my hip whenever I was like up and about doing stuff. If you watched any of my surgery prep videos, you would have seen me wearing this in a couple of them, but I actually preferred this one for post-op. It's a little bit smaller. I never actually like strapped it to my body. I just kind of sat it on my hip, but I didn't rent. You can rent, they're called Game Ready, and they're like cooling machines and compression machines, and it has a constant flow of cool water and compression kind of pumping through this machine. Because this is the other thing that was unique about my experience is I live about 500 kilometers away from where I had my surgery and away from the closest place where I could have my surgery. Like, that was the closest place. So I didn't rent any of the equipment because I didn't know how I was going to get it back to Winnipeg. So if you either can't afford, because it is expensive to rent that machine or buy that machine, or you don't want to, for whatever reason, maybe like me, you have no clue how you're going to get it back to the surgeon after the rental period is up, I would highly recommend these, and I would recommend getting two of them, because those honestly, like the first 2 weeks, you're basically going to be constantly rotating ice packs, and you're going to want to always have one in the freezer so that whenever one warms up and isn't helping anymore, you can switch to the other one. But this one was my preference post-op. This one was my preference pre-op. They're both great. The next thing, and I got these off Amazon, and then I got this off Amazon as well. Now, I learned in physio that this thing actually isn't necessary because you can use your crutch as well. So you can turn your crutch over and put your foot in this end, and then use this to lift your leg around, because you're not supposed to be actively lifting your leg after surgery. But I have preferred this. I really like it for getting in bed. I get into bed on like this way, so left side first, which is my operated side. If I was getting into bed right side first, I could probably just, the technique that they teach you in the hospital to get up is to kind of hook your ankle under your leg and then use your not operated leg to lift your other leg in. And I do that a lot, like whenever I'm sitting on the couch and stuff like that. But anywhere where you're getting in left side first, you really need this or some kind of aid to get your leg in, because you can't, your right leg or your not operated leg isn't in first, so it's really hard to use your other leg to get in. I also really like this for getting in the car because it allows me to lift my right leg in independently, even though it is going in first. And then I just keep, like, this is the end your foot goes in, and then I just kind of tuck this in between my legs as I'm driving, and it doesn't go anywhere. Whereas like the crutch, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to get the crutch away. And then whenever I go to get out of the car, I just have to pick up the handle and we can go. So I really like this. I also use this for doing physio. So one of the exercises is like the heel slides, but they actually want me to be pulling my leg up and then letting it down so that I'm really not engaging any of the muscles as I pull up. So, and I prefer doing that exercise with this rather than the crutch because I always feel like I'm gonna poke myself in the face with my crutch whenever I do that. So then the next thing that I bought, and the thing that I had worried about it before the surgery, but I hadn't actually like thought or like problem solved it, was the cat. So I figured out the food. I bought him a waterer and an automatic feeder for his dry food. And then I figured out how to get his wet food every day. So that was fine. The waterer and feeder were a lifesaver. If you have a pet and you're getting the surgery, you have to do that because you cannot get up and down every day. And then I've been having a friend come over like twice a week to refill the waterer. But the litter box was something that I was really worried about. So I already had a litter genie, and I would recommend if you don't have a litter management system, get something. I like the litter genie, but you need something that's like kind of up and where you don't have to take it straight to the garbage every day, especially if you have stairs that you have to go down. But this is an extendable handle litter scoop. So it's at the max extension, but you can make it as long or you can make it short as well. But this is a lifesaver, a game changer. I did sanitize it before I brought it up here, FYI. This is from PetSmart. I'll link it below. This, I had tried to DIY one by duct taping a broom handle onto the litter scooper that comes with the litter genie. It was so flimsy, you couldn't really like scrape or anything. This is so sturdy. One of the best purchases that I made in the month of August, for sure. All right. Oh, and then the other thing that I think you have to have is Lysol wipes. You can't really clean while you're post-op. And this is more of a thing if you live alone, because if you live with a partner or with your parents or something like that, you're gonna have people around who can pick up the slack of you cleaning. But if you live alone, you need these. You need these for your bathroom, you need these for your kitchen, because you can't clean it. So Lysol wipes, Clorox wipes, whatever. I'm not normally a single-use disposable person. These are a necessity. I'm gonna put these away before they melt everywhere. Oh, and then the things that I didn't buy that were recommended by a lot of people are a grabber, and then there's like a hip surgery kit, and it has like a sponge on a handle, which would be good for like washing your legs and stuff like that, and a sock putter on her. It's been warm, so I haven't really needed to wear socks. If you're having this in cold weather when you do need to wear socks, or if you're going to have to go out and about a lot more than I did, because really I've only gone to physio once a week and that's it. Like I've left the house maybe 4 times since I had surgery. And like really only 3 times since because my mom and dad did come for the first week. So like my mom was able to put my socks on for like the first couple days whenever I was a little bit more out and about, whenever we were still in Winnipeg. But if you're gonna need to put on socks a lot, get the sock putter on her. It's impossible. I kind of figured out a way where I could like loop the ankle sock around the big toe of my not operated foot and then get it up and then like reach behind me and get the sock. But if you're going to be putting on socks a lot, do not do that. It's very uncomfortable. It's quite painful. It's probably bad. Do like get the sock putter on her. And I also didn't buy the grabber. And you will, especially the first few days, I was dropping stuff everywhere. I don't understand it, but I think it's because your mind is still like a little bit hazy, but you can't pick anything up. If it hits the floor, it does not exist to you for the next, I don't know, probably 6 weeks. So especially if you're alone or you're going to be spending a lot of time alone, buy the grabber. I regret not buying the grabber. I should have spent the 40 bucks on it. I should have done it, but I didn't. And now I feel like it's too late because I'm weaning off the crutches over the next week. So yeah, that is that. Now I'm actually gonna put these away. So I don't regret anything I bought. I do regret not buying the sock putter on her, and I do regret not buying the grabber. Honestly, like the long handled sponge would have been nice and the shoehorn would have been nice, but like I haven't noticed those things nearly as much. So the next thing is how I prepped and what's been useful. And firstly, food. I filled my freezer to the brim with breakfast sandwiches, breakfast casserole, regular casseroles, burritos, and some prepared meats. Lifesaver, honestly. You have to prep, unless you are staying somewhere where you are going to get food made for you every single meal. You have to prep food. It's a must. And you also need to figure out if you can get groceries delivered, because you are going to want fresh foods, like fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, yogurt, milk. And you're going to run out of stuff. Like I ran out of coffee and I ran out of bread and tortillas and like stuff like that. So figure out if you can get groceries delivered where you live and prep a whole bunch of food. Fill your freezer. The next thing is putting stuff that you know you're gonna need, like commonly used items, within reach. So behind me here, I have my trash can on the counter. That is gross. I don't enjoy it, but I couldn't reach it whenever it was underneath. And every time I tried to throw something away, it landed outside the trash can. And in my opinion, that's grosser. So for now, my trash can is on my counter. If you have one of the bigger ones, like the tall ones, you're probably fine, but I like having just a little trash can. You'll also see I have my counter spray and then the pet mess spray out, because I can't reach them when they're down in the cupboard under my sink where I normally keep them. The other thing I did is, like, I'm pretty tall, so I can reach that stuff, but if you're short, anything on your top cabinet doesn't exist while you're on crutches. And no matter what your height, anything on the bottom doesn't exist while you're on crutches. So like in my bathroom, I keep toilet paper under my bathroom sink. And then I have a shelf in my little pantry cupboard of toilet paper and extra soap and stuff like that. I can't reach any of the toilet paper under my bathroom sink. I've only been getting toilet paper out of my pantry cupboard because I can't reach under my bathroom sink. If it's under my bathroom sink, it does not exist to me right now. So anything that you think you're going to need, like if your underwear is in the bottom drawer of your dresser, you've got to put it in the top drawer, because that bottom drawer will not exist whenever you're on crutches. Even the second drawer might not exist if you're quite tall. So yeah, put what you know you're going to need within easy reach. Get your crutches out, practice, see what you're going to need. You have to have things within reach, because with this surgery you can't bend for weeks, and you can't like move your foot too far forward or too far back and like have a bad angle on your hip, because you're trying to protect that structure so much that you can't be moving around. Lastly, and I did one of these things and I didn't do one of these things, and it was bad, good and bad. If you are a person who shaves your legs, do it right before surgery. It will help with like all the adhesives and bandaging that you're going to have to do, but also it's going to be weeks before you shave again. I don't think my leg hair has ever been this long in my whole life. Maybe before I started shaving, but like even then I don't remember it being like this. And cut your toenails. because you are not going to be able to, you'll be able to get, if you're pretty flexible, you'll be able to get your non-operated leg like up to you to cut that foot's toenails. You are not going to be able to reach your operated leg's foot for weeks. Cut your toenails before this surgery. If you, especially, like, if you live at home and you can ask your mom to cut your toenails, but like if you don't want to ask your partner, your boyfriend, or your girlfriend to cut your toenails for you, you need to cut them beforehand. And if you live alone, you have to cut your toenails beforehand. The next thing that I want to talk about is a little bit odd, and this will only apply if you have like a corporate job. Take temporary disability. If it is offered as a benefit from your company, take it. Originally, I thought I was going to take like 10 days off post-op and then go back to work from home. No. My doctor wasn't even willing to discuss work from home until my 3-week post-op appointment. So that was twice as long as I was planning on taking off, and I still don't have the form filled out to go back to work. So yeah, like you're going to need a lot more time off than you think you are. And like I have pretty good time off benefits, like paid time off benefits. It would not have been enough to cover this. You also just like don't want to use, if you have access to temporary disability, do not use all of your sick days. Do not use all of your vacation days on this whenever you can access temporary disability. It's not full pay, so that is something to keep in mind whenever you're thinking about it, is you need to sit down with your budget and like estimate what your temporary disability, it's roughly 60% most of the time in Ontario of your income is, and figure out, can I pay my bills with this? And if I can't, do I have savings that can make up for it? You do need to budget that out, but if you can afford to and it's offered to you, take the temporary disability. Not having any pressure on when I need to be back at work has been amazing, because I don't even have to like be worried. Like I am, because I can only imagine what my inbox looks like after this much time, but like you have to, like other than that, which I just keep pushing out of my mind because it's like not a relevant problem to me right now, it has been very nice to not be worried about whether or not I still have a job, or like how much time I'm taking to recover. It's been very nice to not have that weight. What it's been like living alone. So like I said, my parents came 2 days before surgery. They got here on, my surgery was on a Wednesday. They got here on a Monday. It's a 2-day drive from where they live to here. So they drove Sunday, Monday, and then stayed here Monday night. And then we all went in the car and we drove to Winnipeg together, and then stayed in Winnipeg Tuesday night. And we did something fun in Winnipeg on Tuesday night. We went to the Forks and stuff like that. And then on Wednesday, they dropped me off at the surgery center, and then they picked me up. You have to have somebody to drive you home from surgery. And there's like very specific rules about if you're getting an Uber or a taxi. I don't even think Ubers are allowed, because you are so out of it. You are not allowed to drive yourself home. If you are in a place where you do not have anybody to pick you up, you need to tell your surgeon that, and you need to figure something out, because you have to have somebody pick you up, and you have to have somebody who stays with you that night after the surgery, which is why like Ubers and taxis are kind of not allowed. So yeah, you have to have somebody pick you up, stay with you that night, who is competent and can like manage if something goes wrong and you need to be taken back to the hospital. Like, are they competent enough to call 911? So maybe you're a single mom or a single parent and your kids are going to be the people with you at night. They are not considered competent to stay with you at night in case something goes wrong. And then we had to drive so we stayed in Winnipeg the Wednesday night and Thursday night, just to have a little bit of a buffer. Technically, according to the surgeon's instructions, I only needed to stay the Wednesday night, but I just felt better staying the Thursday night, and I could not imagine doing the drive the day after. I needed that day in bed to like prep, because the drive was so uncomfortable and getting in and out of the car was excruciating. So then we did the drive back on Friday. We stopped in Kenora on the way back to split up the drive. We had considered originally staying the night in Kenora. I'm very glad we didn't. I'm glad we got the drive over with in one day. So, and then my parents stayed until the following Tuesday morning, I think. And then after that, I was on my own. So I wish I had got my mom to wash my sheets on the Monday before she left, even though they were clean, because I'd really only slept in them 3 nights at this point. I can't move around my bed well enough, and I also can't bend over well enough to get my sheets off my bed. I have been able to figure out how to do laundry, but I can't get around my bed to even make my bed, let alone get the sheets off. So I do wish I had asked my mom to wash my sheets before she left. I think the biggest thing with living alone is you have to accept that unless you can hire a cleaner, which I thought I had, but if you've been around, you've heard that story before. She basically ghosted me. If you can hire a cleaner, this isn't going to apply to you. If you can't hire a cleaner, your place is going to get disgusting because you are just not physically capable of running the vacuum around until you're allowed to go down to 1 crutch, which I'm starting to be able to do, and I'm almost a month out. I could kind of manage the broom while I was on crutches. That's why like the Lysol wipes are so important, because until one of my friends came over and I remembered to ask her to get the kitchen cleaner out from here, I couldn't reach it. So I think if I were to do this again, I would ask my parents to put the cleaning supplies like out on the counter so that I could get to them. And I would ask my mom to wash my sheets on the last day, full day she was here, because it's filthy in here. It's disgusting, it's gross, it's messy. And if you've been around for a while, you know I like a clean place. So yeah, the other thing is, especially whenever, like, it was hot and I don't have air conditioning in my apartment. So whenever you're standing up trying to do chores, almost all of your weight is in your non-operated leg, especially whenever you want both your hands. And so you do, like, you set your crutches to the side. The sweat that drips down your standing leg. It's like being in a hot yoga class for one single leg, like dripping. It's disgusting, but there's so much effort happening in your not operated leg whenever you're standing up for an extended period of time. So like doing your dishes, doing any chores that require standing for a long time is tough. It's hard work and you will be tired after it. The safety thing that I did is as soon as I wake up in the morning, I unlock my door. And I keep, I forgot to mention this thing. I bought this crutch bag. This has been the most useful thing. I can stick my water in it. I've got pen, lip gloss, tweezers. I keep a little reusable bag in here. Whenever I'm going out, I put my wallet and my sunglasses in here. This is one of the best things that I purchased. But my phone lives in this pocket right here. Unless I'm like sitting down, it does not come out. Because especially the first few weeks whenever I was having some wobbles, I wanted to be able to call the paramedics if I fell, and I also didn't want them to have to break down my door if I fell. So that's why I unlocked the door and kept my phone on me at all times. So I think that's just a really important safety feature to do, especially like whenever I get in the shower. I put my crutches like right outside the shower because you need to use them to get in, but also because I think that getting in and out of the shower, because I have one of those tub shower things, is like one of the riskiest times and one of the times when I'm most likely to fall. And so that way, if I fall, I can pull down my crutches to me, get to my phone. I already kind of talked about this, but when and where you absolutely have to have help, you have to have help to get you to surgery, to pick you up from surgery, and immediately after surgery. It is impossible to do those things alone. The other areas where I've needed help are filling up the cat's water bowl. That is a 2-hand job, and you can't bend over past 90 degrees for the first 3 weeks. So you have to have somebody fill up the cat's water or your pet's water. Taking out my recycling. So recycling pickup is every 2 weeks here. I cannot manage that recycling bin on my own, so I've hired a kid to do that. She also has been changing the bag in my litter locker, litter genie thing as well. And then if you want to be able to have a clean apartment during, you're going to need to hire a cleaner. Oh, and if it's your right leg, I was lucky, this is my left leg. If it's your right leg and you live in North America, or anywhere outside of the UK or Australia, you cannot drive. If you live in the UK or Australia and you're having the surgery and it's your left leg, you will not be able to drive. So if it's going to be your gas pedal leg, or if you drive a manual, you will not be able to drive. So you'll need somebody to take you to physio and stuff like that as well. Luckily, it's my not gas pedal leg and I drive an automatic, so I've been able to drive okay. It's not comfortable, but I can do it. Having the surgery in a small town. So this is kind of unique, I think, but like I said, I had to drive from here to Winnipeg to meet the surgeon back in May, and then to have the surgery, and then I'll have to do it again in November for my 3-month, and then again in January for my 6-month post-op, because those two have to be in person. So I think that is a unique thing, and as particularly getting to and from the surgery itself. Like whether or not you choose to fly or drive, like the plane tickets from here to Winnipeg are $700, $800, $1,000, depending on when you book them. So it's a huge expense. You need multiple nights in a hotel. You can't drive yourself like the day or a day or two after surgery, so you have to have somebody there. And it just adds more cost, and it adds more logistical planning. The fact that you have to travel 1,000 kilometers or 5 hours to be able to get to your surgery. The other thing is that hasn't happened, but did worry me, is that if you're feeling like something's going wrong, you don't have access to your surgeon right after, or whenever it's happening. Like you have to rely on physio, your referring doctor, the emergency room, if something feels wrong. Like you can call them, but unless you can get back there, they can't actually see you. I think benefits of having the surgery in a small town are that everything's really close, and I think this would happen anywhere because most people help people, but I've just noticed that like everybody is very helpful. But I think that would happen anywhere. So random things. So I have been wearing exclusively dresses and skirts except on physio days because I don't have to lift my leg up to get into them. And like I said earlier, you don't want to have any active lifting of the leg. So dresses. If you are a person who wears a dress, wear dresses and skirts the whole time, especially if you're having this surgery in the summer, because it's just going to be so much easier to get dressed by yourself if you can wear dresses or skirts the whole time. And then if you're wearing sleeveless dresses like I've been because it's been hot, your deodorant is going to rub off on these guys, make them gross, and also you're going to be a little bit stinky. Also because, and this is a personal choice that I made, I'm not recommending this necessarily, but because I have one of those bathtub shower things that requires me to step up into it, which feels very scary, I've only been showering every other day. So, and then I have like washcloths. Oh, that's the other thing I should have said. If you're not somebody who already has washcloths, get washcloths, you're going to want to use them to wash your face. Because you don't want to be like bending over to splash, because it's going to be hard to like keep your balance doing that and stuff like that. And then I use them to like wash areas like my armpits and stuff on days whenever I'm not showering, because it was just scary to get in and out of the bathtub and I didn't want to. So that's that. The other thing is that I will really strongly recommend to anybody, because an injury can happen at any point to anyone, where you might end up having a lot of downtime. I see so many people, and I hear so many of my friends talking about having hobbies. And whenever they talk about having hobbies, they're talking about going to pottery classes, or learning how to run, or playing tennis. Active hobbies, which are awesome. But I am a big proponent of sit-down hobbies. These are the 2 needle points that I partially stitched during my downtime because I ran out of thread. And I've been reading a ton. This is still my TBR, but I've been reading a ton. And I think you have to have some sit-down hobbies on deck so that whenever something like this happens, you have stuff to do, because I have not been bored. I have not had bad mental health days this whole time. And I credit that to never being without something to do. And if I get bored needle pointing or my hands start to hurt, I pick up a book or I watch a movie or something like that. You have to have sit-down hobbies. And I saw so many people online talking about how they were having like a really hard time after this surgery because they didn't know what to do. So I don't care if it's knitting or crocheting or reading or sewing or scrapbooking or gaming. You have to have a sit-down hobby to get through this. So that is everything that I have learned and experienced recovering from my labral tear. Everybody's experience is going to be so different, but I just really wanted to share mine because I hadn't seen anybody talk about living alone while doing this. So I did a little few day vlog. I'll link it in the cards up here if you're interested in seeing like what that looks like. And I think I'll end it here, but yeah, that's been it. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm hoping I get to wean off these crutches over the next week. So I'm hoping that I get back to some of my normal content and wash my sheets. I cannot wait to wash my sheets and wash my floors. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.